And so I'm going to be talking for a bit on the topic today of sharing your feelings. And so many people have been told it's good to share your feelings. You have to share your feelings. But what a lot of people don't realize is that whether or not this helps in any relationship depends upon your intention. Because there's two intentions. You can share your feelings as a form of control. You can share your feelings to make the other person responsible for them. You can share your feelings as a form of manipulation. Or you can share your feelings for a number of other reasons. You can share your feelings because you genuinely want help with them. You can share your feelings because you're just giving information like, I'm feeling stressed. I'm going to go out for a walk. Or I'm feeling stressed and I've been doing an inner bonding process, but I can't figure it out and I need some help. Can you talk to me about it? See, that's an intention to learn. But if you say to somebody, I'm feeling stressed, and you just leave it at that, why are you saying that? What's your hope? Do you want this other person to feel sorry for you? Do you want them to do something to fix you, to take responsibility for you? Are you saying it as a form of blame? Are you really saying, I'm feeling stressed because you, you yelled at me, you're not available, you don't want to have sex with me, whatever. And so it's really important to be aware of our intention when we want to share a feeling. Very often my clients will say things like, they'll say to a partner, I'm really angry at you because what you did hurt me. Is there any intention to learn? No, it's just a blame. It's making the other person responsible for your hurt. Now, the other person might have been hurtful, might have been angry, but how you're dealing with it, what you're telling yourself, whether you're taking it personally, is going to be what causes the hurt. Now, if somebody's angry and yelling at you, yes, there may be some heartache. We don't like it when people are mean, but it's still up to us to manage that, to learn to manage the heartache, the heartbreak, the loneliness, the helplessness over others and situations. So if you say, I'm really angry with you because you hurt me, then the other person is likely to get defensive, likely to get more angry, and you're likely not to get anywhere. But if you were to say, I'm upset with you because I feel hurt, and there must be a good reason that you said what you said that felt really hurtful to me. Can we talk about it? Now, that doesn't mean the other person's going to open. They might not, but at least you're open to learning. At least you're not dumping your feelings on them. Now, one of the things that often happens in close relationships is that if you are a very sensitive and empathic person, or your partner is, if somebody is saying, I'm really angry with you, or I'm frustrated, or I'm irritated, or whatever, you're likely to pick that up in your body. This is what happens to me. If somebody is in a wounded state, I can immediately pick up that it goes right. I'm a sponge. It goes right into my body. I'm a very empathic person. I pick it up. I'm a very sensitive person. I pick it up, goes right into my body. Now, with my clients, I've learned I take it in, I bring compassion in, and I give it to God. I say, these are not my feelings. Help this person, help me, help this person. But it's a lot more challenging when we're in close relationship with somebody, with a partner, a child, parents, other members of our family, our friends. It's a lot harder to not take it on. And this has been a lifelong challenge for me. I learned as a little kid to take on my parents' feelings and to try and fix them, to be a good girl, to do everything right, don't upset them, be a caretaker. And in order to find a way to deal with my own feelings and for them not to be dumping their feelings on me. So, of course, I continued this for a long time in my relationships. Now I'm aware that I'm picking it up, that I'm the sponge, I'm picking up the feeling, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm taking a moment, I bring in compassion, and I give it to God so that I don't step into that caretaking role of trying to fix somebody, because that's actually not loving. It's not loving to us. It's not loving to the other person. So if somebody that I'm close to comes in and says, "Oh, I'm so upset, I'm so frustrated," I mean, might not even have anything to do with me, but my body will absorb it, and so it becomes really important in a close relationship with somebody, if you tend to absorb the feelings, to be aware of that and to release them, to not keep them and not take responsibility. You can be there. I can be there. I can say, "Oh, what's happening? Tell me about it." I can be compassionate. That's different than taking responsibility. And what I found for me is if I absorb the feelings, I'm going to take responsibility because I don't want these feelings in my body. So I'm going to take responsibility. If I don't absorb them, if I give them to spirit, then I can be there in a very compassionate and caring way. I can't do that if I've taken on the feelings. Now, one of the things that can happen in relationships is when people don't understand that there's two different intentions in sharing their feelings. Let's say somebody comes in and says, "I'm so frustrated that you forgot to do the check or whatever in the bank. I'm so frustrated." Well, obviously there's no intention to learn there. And then the other person might get defensive and say, or might get angry and say, I don't want to be at the other end of this. And the first person might say, which is what led me to this topic, because this happened recently with the client, "I have a right to my feelings. I have a right to be frustrated. I have a right to be angry. I have a right." This is what people say a lot when they're in their wounded self. I have a right to my feelings. Well, of course we have a right to our feelings. Our feelings are very important and they have a lot of information for us. But that's different than dumping them out on somebody else. And so if you feel that you have the right to dump your feelings out, the other person feels they have the right to disengage from that. And then, so this is what happened in the situation with my client. This person dumped their feelings, the other person disengaged, and the first person said, "Well, you're just abandoning me. I have a right to my feelings." And can you see the circle this gets into? It's a very negative dynamic that people get into when they're not taking responsibility for their feelings. So if somebody is dumping their feelings on you, they're not taking responsibility for their feelings. If you're then stepping into the caretaker role because you've now absorbed their feelings, you're not taking responsibility for your feelings either. Caretaking them is not the same thing as taking responsibility for your feelings. So, I work with people all the time in relationships. And one of the basic things people have to learn is to take responsibility for their feelings. And that is what inner bonding is all about. Learning to learn from our feelings, learning to take responsibility for all of our feelings, to learn from our wounded feelings, from our core painful feelings. And even if somebody has been horrible to you and you think they should be apologizing, they should be taking responsibility, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And so if you don't, it means that your inner child, your feeling self, is abandoned. Because it's my experience that when somebody comes from that wounded self and behaves in a very unloving way, they're not going to take responsibility for hurting you. And expecting them to do it is an unrealistic expectation. So it still comes down to practicing inner bonding, learning to take responsibility for your own feelings, learning not to dump your feelings on others, learning to be aware of your intention when you want to share your feelings. One of the things that I tell couples I work with is once you do your inner work and you discover some things, it's wonderful to share that. That's what creates intimacy, sharing your learning, sharing your growth, sharing your feelings about that. That's different than dumping your feelings on somebody. That does not create intimacy. That creates problems in relationships. This week's episode is brought to you by the Inner Bonding Masterclass. When you join this membership, you'll be part of a compassionate and supportive community who understands what you're going through and who will help you throughout your healing journey. The Inner Bonding membership is created to provide laser coaching for you and others in the community who may be facing the same struggles so that you can practice the inner bonding process more effectively and apply it to your life. You also get to vote on the topic that we will focus on in our bi-monthly masterclass. This way, you and the community will always learn about and get guidance on the topic you're requesting most. Go to innerbonding.com/members to join us. You can use the code BENEFIT to get a 10% discount on your registration at checkout. Again, go to innerbonding.com/members.